Have you guys ever tried finding a tutorial on how to make a hollow nuke? But you guys searched it up on YouTube and then all that came up was tutorials on how to make the VFX but not to actually make a custom hollow nuke? Yeah? No? Well, that was me 4 days ago. And I tried my best finding a tutorial and I couldn't find anything. So I took it upon myself and made my version of it. Okay, some of you guys might be wondering, what do I mean by a custom hollow nuke? Well, allow me to demonstrate. So here we have my abysmal custom Gojo moveset that I made up in 5 minutes. As you can see, I use my red. It does the normal thing, it does damage. I use it again to show you guys. The next, I'm gonna use my first move, the Elapse Blue Max, and it turns into an orb. And then I shoot him. And then KABLAM! Sorry about that, but as you can see, it becomes like a hollow nuke, right? And of course, it isn't limited to Gojo, right? I made a Sukuna version of the nuke. So as you can see, I use my first move, like a cleave type of move, and then he's on a finisher. I use my dismantle, and he turns it. Okay, my bad, but you get the point, right? It's very customizable and stuff. You can do anything you want with it. It's really good. Okay, but before I do start the video, so I do have a explanation on how this tech works. You guys can just skip the tutorial if you want, or just straight to the end for the code. I don't really care, but I highly suggest watching the explanation so you guys understand what I'm doing in the tutorial part. Anyways, that is all.
Okay, so here is my very amazing explanation. So first off, you're gonna have a tag, but on default, that tag is gonna have a value of 1. And then here's you, and here's the enemy, but low. And if you use the first move on your enemy, it's gonna trigger the move's branch finisher on the hitbox, and it's gonna cause the finisher, the blue orb thingy, plus it's gonna set the nuke tag's value to 2. And in your second move, when you're using it, there is gonna be a tag block and a move branch. The move branch is for the normal variants, right? But if the value of the tag is 2, it's instead gonna go to the nuke variants. As you can see, nuke variant only works if the nuke value is 2, right? And if you use the second move on the finisher, it's gonna cause it to do the hollow nuke. Well, that's how simple I could make it, but there's a lot more that goes into it, so I'm gonna go more in depth to that during the tutorial, but that's basically the gist of how the tech works. Anyways, on to the tutorial.
Alright, so before we start, you're gonna wanna have at least 2 moves prepared. And I'm gonna have 2 categories. The first one is gonna be the finisher move. This is basically the move that's gonna trigger the finisher. And the next category is gonna be the nuke move, which is basically the move that's gonna trigger the nuke when you hit it on the finisher. In this tutorial, I'm gonna teach you guys how to make a melee and projectile version of both the finisher and the nuke moves, so you guys can choose whichever combo you want. So I'm gonna put some timestamps on the screen here. Go ahead and choose which one fits the move that you're trying to go for. Every single part of this tutorial is crucial, so make sure to pay attention. And anyways, on to the tutorial.
For the melee finisher, as you can see right now, I only have the normal move ready. It doesn't have any of the finisher stuff yet, so if I use it, it's just gonna be a normal punch into an uppercut move, as you can see right there. And what we're gonna do is add the finisher. So the first step is obviously go to your character block. What we're gonna do first is add a new branch. Let's call it move F, standing for move finisher. After making our branch, we're gonna want to go to our hitbox that does most of our damage. So mine's gonna be this one that does 12.5 damage. And what we're gonna do is in the branch finisher, we're gonna put our new branch, which is move F. After that, we're gonna go back to our move F branch, and what we're gonna do next is add our finisher. You can customize this however you like, so I'm gonna do that first and I'll come back when I am done. Okay, I'm just gonna quickly showcase to you guys what my finisher does. So my finisher is just gonna launch up the enemy, and after 0.25 seconds, it's gonna make him stay in the air. But anyways, what we're gonna do next is add a tag block. We're gonna set this tag block to nuke, We're gonna set the value to 2. For the time, you can set it to whatever you want. This is basically how long their window of opportunity is to hit the nuke. So mine's gonna be 4 seconds. So basically, they have 4 seconds to hit the nuke. Otherwise, it's gonna expire and they're not gonna be able to do the variant anymore. And quick reminder to also set your visuals to 4 seconds or whatever your time limit is on the nuke so that it doesn't look weird. Now that we're done with our finisher, what we're gonna do next is add a new branch. We're gonna call this one target F. And basically this branch is for when the timer expires that we put earlier, they're still gonna die either way. So basically if they don't hit the nuke and the timer expires, this branch ensures that the target dies anyway. First off, what we're gonna do is add a state block, set it to stun, and then set the time to something a little over your nuke duration. So I'm gonna set mine to 6 seconds. After that, we're gonna add a wait block and set it to the same time as your window of opportunity. So mine's gonna be 4 seconds. After that, we're gonna put a add health block and set it to -150. And since add health blocks can't actually kill targets, we're then gonna put a hitbox, set the position to 0, set the size to 111, set the stun to 0, set the damage to 0, turn off blockable, turn off cancel enemy, and then turn on hit user. After that, we're gonna go to conditions, add a has health condition, and then set the amount to something below your damage hitbox. So since mine's 12.5, I'm just gonna put 11.5, and then make sure to turn on flip. After you're done with your target F branch, we're gonna go back to our target branch, and then add a branch for the target F. That should be everything for the first move. Let's go and test it out. Okay, now that the dam is low, let's test out the finisher. As you can see, he floats up there. After 4 seconds, he should die. And as you can see, it works. That's gonna be it for the melee finisher. Go ahead and skip to one of these two if you're either making a projectile nuke or a melee nuke. Anyway, see you there. For the projectile finisher move, I do want to say something before we start. So basically, the way we're gonna dish out the damage for the projectile is using a hitbox block and not actually using the projectile block. This is so we can use the branch finisher feature since the projectile block doesn't have this feature. To quickly turn it into this hitbox version, what you're gonna want to do is go to your move, go to your projectile block, just set the stun and the damage to 0, and then after that make a new branch, call it whatever you want. I made mine called move hit, and then set your projectile blocks branch to the new branch you just created. So mine is a move hit right here. Now in your move hit branch, what we're gonna do is add a hitbox just like this one. Make sure to set the position to 0, and then set the size to something big. I recommend 888. Now you can change whatever you want inside of this thing, but just make sure to make the projectile tag the same as your projectile block. Now that I'm done explaining that, I'm gonna quickly show you guys how my move works. So my projectile is basically just your average projectile. As you can see, it has an air variant like that, but that's basically how it works. So now, how do you actually add the finisher? Now going back to our character block, go back to your move. Then what we're gonna do is add a new branch called Move F, which stands for Move Finisher. And inside this branch, we're gonna make our finisher. You can customize this however you want. So I'm just gonna do that real quick. Okay, now that I'm done with my finisher, as you can see, it's just a simple velocity block and a visual. It basically just makes the opponent rise up and then makes them stay up in the air. Anyways, after that, we're gonna add a tag block. Set the tag to nuke. Set the value to 2. And for the time, it's basically gonna be the opponent's window of opportunity to hit the nuke. So let's say mine's gonna be 4 seconds. So this basically means so that if they don't hit the nuke before the 4 seconds expire, the nuke variant is gonna run out and it won't work anymore. After you're done with that, we're now gonna move on and make a new branch. We're gonna make a new branch called Target F, standing for Target Finisher. And inside this finisher, what we're gonna do is add a state block. Set your state block to stun. Then set the time to something a little over your window of opportunity. So if mine's 4 seconds, what I'm gonna do is make the stun 6 seconds instead. After that, what we're gonna do is add a wait block. Set this as the same time as your window of opportunity. So mine's gonna be 4 seconds. Next, we're gonna put a add health block. And then set it to negative 150. But since add health blocks can't actually kill players, what we're gonna do is add a hitbox. Set the position to 0. Set the size to something small like 111. Set the stun to 0. Set the damage to 0. Turn off blockable. Turn off cancel enemy. And then turn on hit user. After you're done with your hitbox, we're gonna go to the conditions. Add a has health condition. Now for the amount, just go to your hitbox and see how much damage it does. As you can see, mine does 10 damage. So what I'm gonna do is set my has health condition to 9. Make sure to turn on flip. And then if you're wondering what this branch does, this branch basically ensures that if they don't hit the nuke, the enemy still dies either way. I almost forgot to say this, but after you're done with your target F branch, make sure to go back to your move hit branch, go to your hitbox, and then set the branch finisher to the move F branch that we made earlier. Now it should be working. Let's test it out. Now that they're low, let's test it out. Use the move. And as you can see, the finisher works. And after 4 seconds, they should die. So now that it works, we're gonna be moving on to the nuke moves now. So I'll see you there. Now for our melee nuke move, I just made mine a simple punch that knocks people away. It's basically the same as the first move, but I just removed the uppercut. Anyways, now to add the nuke variant, go back to your character block, go to your move, and then what we're gonna do is go to your default branch, add a tag, put it above your branch block, set the tag to nuke, set the value to 2, and then set the time to infinity, and then turn check on, turn off these two, and then set the branch to nuke. After that, we're gonna make a new branch with the exact same name, so nuke, and then what we're gonna do is copy over our normal move. So we're gonna use the camera button here, and then just paste it. But now go to your hitbox, set the damage to 0, and then make sure to turn off can kill. Next, we're gonna make 2 new branches. One is gonna be nuke target, and the next one is gonna be nuke hit. Now in the nuke target, this is basically gonna be our hollow nuke effects. So this is where we're gonna add the kind of implosion effect that I had earlier. So I'm just gonna do that real quick. Now that I'm done with my effects, it's gonna be a simple implosion effect, then a explosion. Under the last visual block, I'm gonna add a add health block. I'm gonna set it to -150. And since again, add health blocks can't kill players, we're gonna add a hitbox. Set the position to 0. Set the size to 111. Set the stun to 0. Set the damage to 0. Turn off blockable. Turn off cancel enemy. And then turn on hit user. Now that we're done with the nuke target, let's now move on to the nuke hit. This might sound really scuffed, but basically we're gonna add a projectile block. Set the projectile tag to nuke. Set the speed to something fast. I like using 150. For the time, you can set it to whatever you want. But what I like to do is set it as the same time as the implosion timer, so it guarantees that it hits. So just put 1.5. If you want it to be an instant hit, since it travels fast anyway, I still suggest putting like 1 second or more. Anyways, after that, turn off stun, turn off damage, turn off blockable, turn off cancel enemy, turn off can kill, and then make the aim last hit 1. After that, set the branch target to the nuke target. And then next, we're gonna make a new branch called the nuke hit 2. This is where we're gonna put the actual explosion hitbox. So right before we start, go back to your nuke hit branch, the original one. Go to branch, set it to nuke hit 2. I forgot to mention this in the original recording, but inside your nuke hit branch, with the projectile block. Inside that, make sure to add the nuke hit 2 in the branch collided. Since this is a melee move, most of the time, what's gonna happen is it's gonna trigger the branch collided instead of the branch. Anyways, that's basically it. And then add a wait block for 1 second, because otherwise the hitbox won't actually work and it won't destroy the environment or do any damage. Now inside our nuke hit 2, add a wait block and make it the same time as your implosion effect. If you don't have one, you can just skip this step. Next, we're gonna add a hitbox, set the position to 0, set the size to something big. I'm gonna do 120, 80, then 120. Set the stun to whatever you want. Set the damage to whatever you want. I'm just gonna do 60. Now set the debris to -50 so the environment gets destroyed. I suggest making the attack type domain so you can't counter it. Next, turn off unblockable. Turn on hit ragdoll. You can turn on hit user if you want. And then make sure to turn off single target. Next, make sure that the projectile tag is the same as your projectile tag here. So I'm just gonna set it to nuke. This is optional, but I like to add a velocity block here. Set the last hit to 0.05, then set the ragdoll to something like 2.5 seconds. This is basically so that everyone that gets hit by the nuke gets ragdolled. And that should be everything. Let's try it out. Okay, now that the dump is low, I'm gonna use my finisher. I'm gonna use the nuke move. Then as you can see, voila! There we have it. There's your nuke. Now moving on to our projectile nuke. As you can see, my projectile nuke move right now is just the same as my projectile finisher but orange. Right now it's empty because it doesn't have anything in it. It's just a normal move. So now, how do you actually add the nuke variant? So first of all, in our default branch, put a tag above the branch block. Set the tag to nuke. Set the value to 2. And then set the time to infinity. Turn on check. Turn off these two. And then set the branch to nuke. And then now we're also going to make a new branch called nuke. After making the branch, we're going to go to our normal move and then use the camera button to copy it. After copying it, go to your projectile block. Set the stun to however long you want. I'm just going to set it to 4. Make sure to turn off the damage. Set the damage to 0. Turn blockable off if it's still on. And then turn off can kill. After you're done with your projectile block, we're going to add a tag block. Put it right above the projectile block. Set the tag to nuke. Set the value to 1. And then set the time to infinity. Next, this is for when you have an air variant. If you don't have an air variant, you can just skip to this timestamp right here. But anyways, if you have an air variant, make a new branch called nuke air. Go back to your nuke branch. Go to the branch block and then set the branch to nuke air. Next, we're gonna copy the nuke branch. Just click the camera block and paste it in nuke air. After that, we're gonna move the branch block. Add a skill. Set it to execution. Set the speed to 0.001. Add another skill. Put it above the tag block. Then set it to cancel. Turn on cancel last. After that, make sure to go to conditions and add a in-air condition. Then make sure that it's set to false. After that, we're gonna make 2 new branches. The first one is gonna be called nuke hit. And then the second one is gonna be called nuke target. Nuke target is basically gonna be our effects for the target, like the implosion effects and stuff. So now just add the effects you want. This is very customizable, so I'm just gonna do that real quick. So for my effect, I just copied it from the melee version, but basically there's gonna be an implosion effect, and then this visual is for the explosion effect. Anyways, at the very bottom of your branch over here, just put a add health block, set it to -150, and since again add health blocks can't kill enemies, what we're gonna do is add a hitbox, set the position to 0, set the size to 111, turn off stun, turn off the damage, turn off blockable, turn off cancel enemy, and then turn on hit user. Next, we're gonna move on to our nuke hit branch. The first thing we're gonna do is add a weight block and then set it to the same time as our implosion effect. If you don't have an implosion effect, then you can just skip this part, but I'm gonna set mine to 1.5. Next, we're gonna add a hitbox. Set the hitbox's position to 0. Set the size to something very big. I'm gonna do 120, 80, then 120. Set the stun to whatever you want. I'm just gonna use 4. Set the damage to whatever you want. It can be a one shot or anything. I'm just gonna make mine 60. Make the debris negative 50 so it destroys the environment. I suggest making the attack type domain so you can't counter it. Turn off blockable. Turn on hit ragdoll. Turn on hit user if you want the nuke to hit you as well, similar to the hollow nuke itself. And then make sure to turn off single target. Next, we're gonna add a velocity block. Set the last hit to 0.05 and then set the ragdoll to something like 2.5. This basically makes it so everyone that's hit by the nuke gets ragdolled. You can turn on true ragdoll if you want, but I don't like doing that. Next, we want to go back to our nuke branch. Go to the projectile block. Go down and set the branch target to the nuke target. Next, set the branch to nuke hit. And then also set the branch collided to nuke hit. If you have an air variant, we're gonna do the same to the projectile block over there. I almost forgot to mention, but in your nuke and nuke air branches, make sure that there are at least 1 second wait blocks. This basically ensures that the hitbox that's responsible for the nuke actually goes off. And after that, you should be done. So let's go test it out. Now I'm gonna use the finisher and then the projectile nuke. And as you can see, it now works. So I did find a few problems with this method. So as you can see, for this first one, I'm just gonna make this dummy low. Okay, now that the dummy is low, as you can see, if I use the finisher, and then I use the projectile nuke on someone else, it triggers the nuke on them instead of the low HP dummy. One way to fix this is going back to your projectile nuke move and then going to your nuke air and nuke branches, then setting the aim last hit to your window of opportunity. So I'm gonna set mine to 4. I'm gonna do the same to the nuke air variant. As you can see, that dummy is low. I'm gonna use the finisher on him. And if I try to use the finisher on this guy, it still aims for the one that has the finisher. I did come across another bug, specifically with my Gojo version. I think it was related to something with the circle glow visual for some reason. Because if I added a circle glow, for some reason, like, it doesn't work. As you can see, like, for some reason the nuke doesn't work there, so I don't really know why, but that's one thing. There's also one thing that I found, which is adding the sound, but then connecting it using the projectile tag. If you want to make the sound last as long as it does, like this sound lasts for like 11 seconds, you're gonna have to put a wait block at the end of the nuke hit. But the problem with this is the move won't go on cooldown until this is done. And I'm also pretty sure you can't use any moves, and you can't dash or anything like that if you put the time to 11. But if you want to make it like that, then sure, go ahead. And that's basically everything that I found. Again, this is very customizable. You can add any visuals that you want. You can add as much sounds as you want. Like, the limit is just your imagination. And of course, there's bound to be more problems with this tech. Like, again, I'm only one person, so I can't really test everything out. For barrage moves, this should work, especially if you're using my method, like the updated one with the timed hits. Just make sure to make the last hit a hitbox, so you can use the branch finisher. And if you guys do find any more bugs using this method, I'll try to fix it. Just comment down below. I'll try to investigate it. If I find a fix, I'm gonna make a pinned comment down below. I'm gonna update that comment for every single time that I find a fix for something. It's gonna be basically a frequently asked questions kind of thing. But that's basically gonna be it for today's video. Don't forget to subscribe and like. And I will see you guys next time. Goodbye.
Mambo, mambo, お祭りマンボウ。ダブダブ、ゆらゆら、お祭りマンボウ。